Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with MetaGeek. Today's hosts are Joel Crane, their Enterprise Product Manager, as well as Casey Cathy, their Technical Support Lead, and they will both be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Joel and/or Casey will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Thank you both so much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate your time and the information that you're going to share with us. So I am finished for now. Go ahead and take it on over.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, just to reiterate, my name's Joel. I am the Enterprise Product Manager, Product Owner, kind of skirt back and forth between those two a little bit at MetaGeek. I am Certified Wireless Network Expert number 233. Yeah, we've got something new to talk about today, which is pretty exciting. Casey, do you just want to say hey really quick so that your voice gets heard and,
hey
and all that?
Guys, I'm here too.
Awesome. Yeah. Casey might jump in a little bit here and there and just kind of provide some color commentary and stuff, so it's not the Joel show, the Joel monologue. So awesome. Well, yeah, let's just jump right in and talk about what we're announcing today. And actually, it's funny. This webinar lines up with our actual product announcement, which we released a new product. We kind of did a soft launch last night, where we got everything rolled out onto the internet, but we didn't make any social media posts or anything like that until this morning. So Julie, this is it. This is like the actual first time we've actually really publicly talked about this new product. It's pretty exciting. So we're actually launching sort of 3 new products today. 3 different things that MetaGeek is launching: a multi-channel automatic packet capture tool, a real-time event-based packet analyzer, and a layer 1 and layer 2, that's both spectrum analysis and packet analysis troubleshooting applications. So just to go through it again, just to get it all locked into your mind very clearly, we're launching a multi-channel packet capture tool with automatic device management, a real-time event-based packet analyzer, and a combination layer 1 and layer 2 troubleshooting application. Now, before we get into talking about what these products are, I want to take a look back at the things that MetaGeek has done in the past, because I think we've made some pretty big contributions to the wireless troubleshooting space. And I just want to talk about those a little bit, where they came from and what's great about them before we dive into our new products. The first thing that we did, and this is really what got MetaGeek kickstarted back in 2009, is spectrum analysis for everyone. When Ryan introduced the very first Wi-Fi, which fun story, was actually based on a wireless mouse receiver. That's what the original Wi-Fi was. Obviously, the Wi-Fi DVX is a much more sophisticated piece of hardware, but we started with a wireless mouse receiver. Ryan introduced affordable and accessible spectrum analysis for everybody. It was inexpensive at the time. At the time, the competition. There were some great spectrum analyzers out there, but they were expensive. We're talking multi-thousands of dollars for something portable that you could plug into a machine. Even worse, you were looking at something that was on a cart that you had to roll around on a cart, a big, Agilent spectrum analyzer or something like that. They weren't small, they weren't affordable, they weren't compact, and so we introduced affordable spectrum analysis. Now, with that, especially with the introduction of Channelizer Pro in 2011 or so, we introduced full recording and playback. So not only could you look at the spectrum and see what was going on in your wireless network environment, you could also record it. You could pause it and it would keep recording in the background. You could hit play and look at previous things that had happened. And you could scrub through hours and hours of spectrum analysis data with waterfall navigation. This is something that still is really unmatched in the wireless networking industry, and as far as I know, pretty much every spectrum analyzer out there. This is something that's still fairly unique to MetaGeek. We also introduced some other great things around spectrum analysis, like the combination of graphical Wi-Fi scanning and spectrum analysis in the same tool, as well as the ability to share recording files. So just a lot of flexibility that we brought with spectrum analysis, and that's why I call it spectrum analysis for everyone. The next innovation that we introduced is graphical Wi-Fi scanning, and this is something that doesn't get attributed to MetaGeek very often, but this is a MetaGeek original. So some of you may remember back in the day, there was a tool called NetStumbler, and NetStumbler only ran on 32-bit processors. Ryan had some experience at this point with spectrum analysis for Wi-Fi, and he looked at NetStumbler and went, well, there needs to be something that can run on a 64-bit architecture. So they introduced Insider. And Insider at first was just a list of wireless networks that were nearby. It was basically just a table. And then after a while, we were looking at what we were doing in spectrum. We were looking at how we could see signatures, Wi-Fi signatures in the spectrum. And MetaGeek, specifically Ryan, went, well, wait a second, why don't we hit the Windows Wi-Fi scanning API? And why don't we draw a spectrum light view without a spectrum analyzer? And that's ultimately what is now the default, the de facto way to do Wi-Fi scanning today, is to grab all the beacons and probe responses using the operating system's Wi-Fi scanning API and use those to say, okay, we can see if there's an access point on channel 1, we know its signal strength, we know we know the channel width that it's using, and to draw those out in a graphical way. And so that was directly born out of MetaGeek's experience with spectrum analysis. And this is an innovation that, frankly, is just too good to keep to ourselves. It's like when Volvo invented the three-point seat belt. That was such a game changer for automotive safety that Volvo's executives got together and they said, we have a patent on this, but we really should not hold this to ourselves. And they released the patent for everyone else to use. In a similar way, we think that this was just too good to not share. And this is something that virtually every Wi-Fi scanning tool out there does. Everybody does this today. This is just everywhere. And we're super, super thrilled that we came up with something that was this impactful in the industry like this. Another thing that we ended up doing that I don't have on the slide is we ended up integrating this graphical Wi-Fi scanning back with our spectrum analysis. And so you could see, all the non-Wi-Fi stuff that was going on, and you could also see the Wi-Fi signatures that were being created in the spectrum. And then we overlaid graphical Wi-Fi scanning on top of that. So you got both pieces of data all at once. You got your layer 2 Wi-Fi scanning and your layer 1 spectrum analysis all in the same view. And that is something that Channelizer's been doing for a long time that we think is super impactful. And once again, has become a standard. It's just something that every tool that has spectrum analysis out there, like Wi-Fi Explorer from Adrian Granados, excellent tool for Mac OS. Ekahau Site Survey does that. Pretty much everybody uses this today. And we're super, super thrilled that once again, we were able to introduce something that was that impactful. And the third thing that I want to talk about today is airtime-based packet analysis. Now, prior to MetaGeek, the way that we did wireless packet analysis was in tools like Wireshark. Wireshark is an excellent packet analyzer, but it's super in-depth. It's extremely technical. I'm sorry, it's not beautiful. And you basically just get a giant list of all the packets that we heard. In a 3 or 4 minute wireless packet capture, that can mean 20 to 30,000 packets that you're looking at. The other problem with Wireshark is that it doesn't help you understand how much time is being consumed on a channel. If you've worked with Wi-Fi at all, you know that on any given channel at any given time, only one device can talk. One device gets to talk on a channel at a time. And so it's really important to understand how busy the channel is. Now, spectrum analysis gives that to us from a layer 1 perspective. We can tell from how often did we see energy on the channel. We can tell how busy the channel is. Is it being used 10% of the time, or is it being used 80% of the time? We can tell with a spectrum analyzer. But using packets, capturing all of the packets and using that to calculate how much time Wi-Fi devices are using on the channel, that's a game changer. That is something that is completely different. That this has been copied a little bit here and there, but this is still something that's still very, very unique to MetaGeek, that we capture all the packets on the channel and we look at who is talking fast, who is talking slow, who is repeating themselves, where is the time on the channel going. And so IPA introduced a completely new way to visualize layer 2 airtime usage. Now, as we start thinking about what's the next big thing for MetaGeek, what are we going to do next? What's the big game-changing thing that we're going to do? We looked at all the things that we had done, and we also took a good hard look at the problems with packet capture and packet analysis today. One of those problems is that capturing involves multiple manual steps. First off, you got to be on site. You got to be near the machine that you want to get a packet capture of. Let's say that a user reports like, hey, my iPhone just won't connect to the network no matter what I do. Okay, we need to get in there and get a packet capture and try to figure out what's going on. Is it a bug with the client device? Is it a bug with the infrastructure? Is the user just using like a wrong passkey, something like that? What is the problem here? You have to go on site and be near that machine. The next thing you have to do is figure out which channel is the user on. That usually involves looking at a Wi-Fi scanner like Insider and going like, okay, we think they're connecting to this access point. It's on channel 64, so we need to configure the packet capture tool to capture on channel 64. So you have to set the channel. Then you hit start. So now you're capturing packets. And during the packet capture, we get almost zero instrumentation about what is happening during the packet capture. We typically get a little counter that says how many packets we captured and a little counter that says how big the capture file is. But did we actually capture the conversation between the iPhone and the access point? We don't know. There's actually no way to know whether we're actually capturing that conversation or not. So then once the packet captures, once we have reproduced the problem, we can't get the iPhone to connect anymore, then we have to stop the packet capture. Then we have to then we have to open the packet capture in our favorite packet analysis tool, and then we can finally dig into the problem and see if we can figure out what's going on. And then once we get that packet capture open, you have to scroll a massive list of packets to find an event. Like I said earlier, a 5-minute capture, that can be 60,000 packets easily. Even a 30-second capture is at minimum hundreds of packets. You're scrolling massive lists looking for this stuff. It's just not easy. Then packet exchanges are hard to filter down to and read. When you capture packets on a Wi-Fi channel, you're capturing everything. If there's another access point or other client devices doing stuff on the same channel, you're capturing all of it. Just everything is coming through, and you have to apply filters to get down to what you're looking for. Now, IPA makes this significantly easier. IPA introduced easy but powerful filtering. You can filter down to a specific conversation really, really fast, and that's great, but we have to wait until the PCAP is done to even do that. So we started thinking, well, maybe there's something we can do here. Additionally, the process is just too complicated for a junior technician that's on site. As we were interviewing wireless network administrators, we interviewed tons of network administrators to figure out what their main pain points were. And one of those is like, yeah, packet capture is just too technical for me to send a junior technician on site to accomplish. Additionally, capturing roaming events is a nightmare. When a client device roams from one access point to another, the problem that we run into is that those two access points are typically on different channels. Now you can manually with IPA say, okay, put one adapter on channel 64 and one adapter on channel 144, and we'll try to capture the roam from one access point and thus one channel to another with those two wireless network adapters, but it's very, very manual, and there's no guarantee that you're going to capture that roam. Multi-channel setups are very, very complicated. These are just another one of the problems that we saw, and the list goes on and on and on. We identified about 15 or 20 main jobs to be done or pain points that wireless network administrators experience when they perform packet capture, when they perform troubleshooting in general. And we thought these are problems that we can solve with MetaGeek innovations. And so we decided to do just that. So 3 new products to address these problems. We're announcing 3 new products that take care of these problems. A multi-channel automatic packet capture tool. It automatically captures packets on multiple channels and automatically manages adapters for you. A real-time event-based packet analyzer. It looks at the packets in real time and shows you what is happening in your packet capture in real time. What packets have you captured? What events have you captured? And also, finally, a layer 1 and layer 2 troubleshooting app that combines the best of packet analysis and the best of spectrum analysis, all in that one tool, all in that one tool, so that you can get more data, more perspectives, and more different types of measurements. So a multi-channel automatic packet capture tool, a real-time based packet analyzer, a layer 1 and layer 2 troubleshooting application. You see where this is going? You see where this is going? This is not one app, or this is not 3 applications. This is one new product, and we're calling it MetaGeek Tonic. Tonic uses multiple network interface cards, or NICs, to get a complete look at your wireless environment, and it also incorporates spectrum analysis data all in one tool so that you can get the biggest perspective. So I'm going to jump into a live demo in just a second, but I just want to show you a couple of screenshots before we do it to kind of give you some things to look for as we go through the demo. One of those things is WYSIWYG packet capture. Now, if you're an old school computer user, you recognize the term WYSIWYG. That means what you see is what you get, right? This goes back to text editors way back in the day. Maybe you were using WordPerfect 4.0 on your IBM XT or something like that. And when we made that jump to text editors where you could apply italics, you could make things bold, you could change fonts, and it would actually show up on the screen in real time, that is what you would get when you printed that. That was a game changer. And we're doing that with packet capture now. As you perform the packet capture in real time, MetaGeek Tonic counts up what packets we have captured. So you never wonder whether you captured that association or that four-way handshake or whatever you're trying to capture. You never question whether you got that, because during the packet capture, you see it happen. You see it happen live. And so we call that WYSIWYG packet capture. One of the next huge things that we've done is we automatically identify events that happen. So as you're performing the packet capture, no more wondering if you've captured the event, no more scrolling through thousands of packets. If a client does something like transmit a probe request, sorry about my camera, it'll be back in just a second. It transmit a probe request, or if it roams from one access point to another, we automatically identify that event occurred in real time, and we show you that the event happened. Next thing that we did is we introduced packet flow. This is probably my favorite thing about MetaGeek Tonic. With packet flow, we, instead of just giving you a giant list of packets and a transmitter MAC address and a receiver MAC address, and you as the user have to figure out, okay, who was transmitting to who? Was the transmitter the client? Was the transmitter the access point? Wait, did the transmitter change because now it's a different client talking to the access point? No, none of that. Now with packet flow, we show you a very simple diagram of where the packet came from, what data rate it went at, and what kind of packet it was. For example, here in this event, we can see there's a roaming event that we've got selected here. The client transmitted a probe request to the access point at 1 megabit per second. And then we saw a request to send come from the access point, a clear to send reply from the client device, and then the access point transmitted some data to the client at 72 megabits per second. Block acknowledgement, data, block acknowledgement. You can very clearly see the conversation unfolding there. And all you had to do was click on the event, and there's all the packets right there. So we call this view packet flow. Now, the funny thing about packet flow, we didn't invent this. If you ever take any kind of wireless network troubleshooting class, Casey, I'm going to have you speak up here in just a second. If you take any kind of wireless network troubleshooting class, Casey, did you ever see, like in the Certified Wireless Analysis Professional course, did you see like an instructor draw a packet flow diagram like this? Do you remember that?
Not really.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well, sorry to put you on the spot. Well, from my experience, every time I've taken any kind of course on packet analysis or any kind of Wi-Fi course, the instructor always draws this, like, here's the frame going this way, here's the frame going this way. And I was sitting looking at Wireshark late one night, trying to remember who the transmitter and receiver were and who was the access point, who's the client. I was like, why are we doing this to ourselves? So packet flow, this basically, I think is going to basically change how we look at packets. We also include IPA's airtime analysis. So we give you multi-layer pie charts that show you who is talking fast, who is talking slow, who is consuming airtime, what was consuming airtime. And we'll show you that, Casey, and I'll show you that here in real time. I'm really excited to show you that. So just a real quick run through of some of the features to keep an eye out for WYSIWYG packet capture. Another thing that we do that I'll show you is we perform automatic adapter management. So you can plug up to 3 packet capture adapters into Tonic, and it will manage which channels the adapters are tuned to. So for example, if you're looking at a network and it's got an access point on channel 1 and an access point on channel 36, and you click on that network, we'll just automatically bounce back and forth between those two channels. If you have 2 adapters, we'll put one adapter on the 2.4 gigahertz channel and another adapter on the 5 gigahertz channel, and just automatically capture everything that is happening on your network. You don't have to tell it what channels to tune to anymore. We do the work for you. Of course, we do graphical Wi-Fi scanning. It's a bit different though. Instead of hitting up the Windows Wi-Fi scanning API like we do with every other packet or every other Wi-Fi scanning tool out there, instead, this is all packet-based. And the beauty of doing it in a packet-based way is it is fast. It is so quick. With a Wi-Fi scanner, it's like you update once every 2 to 4 seconds. You just get an update just fast enough to not go crazy. With Tonic, it's fast. It is so fast, it's difficult for me to go back and use a traditional Wi-Fi scanner after this. I talked about packet event detection and the packet flow visualization. Another thing I haven't talked about is contextual packet decode, where depending on the type of packet, we do a special decode to tell you what is important from that packet. Now, in Monolith 1.0, I'm sorry, Tonic 1.0, Monolith was the code name, and it's hard for me to switch over, but in Tonic 1.0, Casey's laughing at me because he's seen me do this multiple times. Mess up and use the code name. In Tonic 1.0, the contextual packet decode is pretty limited, but we've got the framework built in, and I'm excited to get that built out to basically have a unique contextual decode for every frame type that you would want to look at. So we're excited about that. We also give you multi-layer channel usage statistics. What does that mean? Multi-layer channel usage statistics. Well, remember that we're capturing the packets from the packet capture adapter, and we use that to calculate airtime usage. That's a layer 2 measurement. But if you plug in a WiSpy DBX, you also get layer 1 channel utilization, like you've been looking at with Channelizer for years. So it's these measurements, one from IPA, one from Channelizer, now finally together where you can see them both at the same time. And then finally, getting a packet capture out of Tonic to do deeper analysis in another tool is shockingly easy. It's one click or 2 clicks in most cases to get that PCAP into the deeper tool. And so Tonic is the fast surface level tool, but we still want to use IPA, maybe even Wireshark, or maybe even a competing tool like OmniPeak to do your deeper analysis on these. Whereas Tonic is great for real-time work. So I'll show you all that here in just a moment. So with that, I want to go ahead and switch over to a demonstration and just show you what this tool is all about. Okay, so up and running here on my Windows machine, I've got MetaGeek Tonic up and running, and this is kind of the first view that you get when you launch the application. So this is what we call the networks view. Casey, do you feel like the networks view is kind of the home view in Tonic?
Yeah. Oh yeah, kind of the hub.
Kind of where yeah, it's the hub. Yeah, that's a good way to. That's a great way to describe it. It's like the hub. So up here in the corner, the first thing that you might notice is this is the status pane, and this shows us all of our Wi-Fi adapters and what they're doing right now. So you see you have the green adapter. You can see it's colored green here, and you can see which channel it's on. By the way, my feeling with GoToWebinar is it's probably updating once every few times a second. These numbers are like continuously spinning for me over here. Casey, how does it look on your end? Like, how quickly does it update?
It's okay, yeah. The 2.4 gigahertz looks like it's skipping every 2 channels when I know it's probably actually hitting each channel. I take it
hitting every single
on
one.
your end.
Yeah. Yep.
That blue line. So it looks like it's skipping what 2 to 4 channels on my
2 to 4 at a time. Okay, but over here it's hitting every one. Although I do want to stop for a minute and just recognize that that we're complaining about a frame rate issue when we're getting to do teleconferencing like all over the world and it just works. So I'm not complaining, just so that we're clear. But just keep in mind that it's not quite as fast and fluid. It's faster and more fluid in person, but we've got trials available if you want to do a trial of this and see it for yourself on your own machine. But you can see the green adapter is hitting these channels, so we can actually see. We'll link that together really quick. See the green adapter is hitting these channels. You can see that little green bar there tells you which adapter or which channels it's looking at. The blue adapter is looking at all of the 2.4 gigahertz band, and then the purple adapter is looking at the upper 5 gigahertz band. So that's our automatic adapter management at work. It's automatically taking care of scanning things. So now what we'll do is let's take a look at some of the other views. I really like the channels view. This is one of my favorite views. So this is just an overview of all the different channels we give you spectrum utilization. Now that is a measurement from the Wi-Fi DBX. So that's totally optional, by the way. You don't have to have a Wi-Fi DBX connected, but if you do, then we'll show you spectrum utilization. Airtime usage is the packet analysis measurements. That's telling us how busy things are from an airtime perspective. And notice that they're never going to quite be the same. It's funny because they're a similar measurement, but they're both different types of indicators. So I don't know, think of it as kind of like in an aircraft. It's kind of like the altimeter, how high are you? And also the vertical airspeed indicator. What is your rate of change up or down in the aircraft? How much are you losing or gaining altitude? It's similar to that. They're very similar measurements, not quite the same thing. They're different perspectives on the same measurement. Now, additionally, you see this little dot that's kind of going up and down on next to the channel number. That is tied to our adapter channels over here. And I think it's so much fun to sit there and watch these, watch the purple one just sweep back and forth through all the different channels. Super, super entertaining. I can sit there and watch it all day. And additionally, we also get the spectrum analysis view out here, the density view from Channelizer. Now we're going to keep this spectrum light. We're not going to replace Channelizer with this, but I want you to be able to plug in a Wi-Fi and see if there's any obvious sources of interference and to measure how busy channels are. And so we have Wi-Fi integration built in. Okay, so let's go back to the networks view and let's just drill down a little bit. So I'm going to go look at Joel's enterprise network. So now we can see my 3 access points that are here at my house because I'm working from home. We're all working from home right now. And I'm probably going to work from home permanently after this. It's been really nice, hasn't it, Casey? Just work from home. I'm so glad I don't have to drive to work anymore. But now if you look at our packet capture adapters, you're going to notice that the behavior has changed slightly. Our green adapter is it's repeatedly hitting all the channels that my access points are on. So it's just looking at channel 48, 161, and then back. So it's really just between 48 and 161 because I have 2 access points that share a channel because this one in the garage, that one is in mesh mode. Whereas the purple adapter is keeping an eye on everything else in the 5 gigahertz band, and the blue adapter is keeping an eye on the 2.4 gigahertz band to see if any new if we're walking around, we might see a new access point that we hadn't previously seen before. So the whole time that these adapters are hopping around, we're capturing all the packets on these channels. So then from here, let's drill down into Office. So this is the access point that's here in my office. And now we get a list of all of the active client devices. So here's my wife's iPad, here's my iPhone, here's my iPad, here's a device that I haven't given a friendly name to yet. And here's, of course, here's my MacBook Pro. And if we look at the breakdown of airtime usage, this chart shows us how much time is being consumed on the channel. We can clearly see that my MacBook Pro is eating up most of the time that's being consumed on the channel, which is actually not a ton. It's only using about 9% of the channel is being used. So it's actually pretty good. But that's where all the time on the channel is going. One thing I love to do is let's go find my thermostat. Which is on my kitchen access point, which should be this one. There it is. So here's my thermostat right here. This is my Ecobee Net or my Ecobee Lite. So the Ecobee is, if we back out and just look at what's going on here, it's consuming all of the time on this channel, but it's just management overhead. It just is just sitting there doing management overhead. It's not actually moving any data. Whereas if we go back and we look at we look at my my MacBook, about a third of it is the traffic that it's sending is data, and 2/3 of it is just management overhead. So the majority of the airtime that's being consumed is management overhead. So then from here, a few things that we can do. You can give the access point a friendly name. You can go look and see what other SSIDs are on the same radio. Or you can even drill down into that client to get some more information about it. So let's do that now. So I'm going to drill down into the client here. And so here is a detailed look at what my MacBook is doing. So we can see that here's the types of data that are being captured from it. If we pull up this frame counts pane, we can see exactly how many packets we've captured, and it's ongoing for this device. Now down below here on the bottom, we can also look at some data that's happening over time. So for example, if we look at our client transmit MCS, it's the MCS that the client is using, we can see it's normally sitting at MCS 9. It's a pretty good MCS. We can also look at the AP transmit data rate. There's multiple things that we can look at here. and we can actually bring in other measurements. So I've added signal strength here, which is really good because it's right next to the packet capture adapters, and also retries. And we can even remove certain time graphs, and we can reorder them if we want. So let's say that I want to see signal strength at the very top. I'm just going to bump signal strength all the way up here at the top, and now I've organized the graphs how I've wanted to. So right now we only have a handful of graphs in here, but I have about 15 more time series graphable things that we're going to get added to Monolith over the coming weeks and months as we pull away from Monolith. Oh, sorry, Tonic. I did it again. Tonic. It's Tonic. Funny story. We should probably talk about the code name. We've been calling it Monolith for what, a year and a half now, Casey? Is that right? A year? Probably a year.
Good question. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Casey, do you remember the funny monolith thing that showed up in Utah in the middle of the desert and nobody knew where it came from?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We named it after that. The code name is named after that. But we couldn't actually use monolith, and also monolithic code bases are bad. You're not supposed to have monolithic code bases, so it was kind of a joke. And ultimately, there were multiple reasons why we could not use that as a name, and so we settled on Tonic because it supports multiple NICs, and also we like to name things after drinks. So we have IPA, we have Tonic. Channelizer's not named after a drink, and there's no fixing that. But Insider, I don't know. I like ciders. I think it kind of works. So anyway, if you're wondering, I got to shake this whole monolith thing though. But there, now you're all in on the secret. Shh, don't tell anybody that was the code name. But the name's Tonic, of course. Cool. Okay, so now I want to show you. I want to show you a little bit more now. I want to show you the automatic event detection that we do. So I've got my iPhone here, and what I'm going to do is, you can see it's doing some stuff, especially when I unlock the screen. Notice how we update the airtime usage in real time with what's going on. If I start streaming a YouTube video, you're going to see a whole bunch of quality of service data frames start to show up here as we capture those frames. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn Wi-Fi off. And so notice that we captured the disassociation frame that the client sent. The client said, hey, I'm disassociating, to let the access point know, like, yo dog, I'm out, And so we see, it says it just like that, right, Casey?
I think that's in the packet.
Yeah, yo dog, I'm out is in there in the packet somewhere. And it also, in Tonic, we automatically detected that it disassociated. So we saw that frame and went, the client is disassociated. So if you click on that, here's where the client transmitted its disassociation, and there's the contextual decode for it. And here's where the access point replied and said, acknowledged, you're good. Basically, like, access point out or whatever. And so now it's gone. So then, again, technical term. So now I'm going to turn Wi-Fi back on and watch as the client associates and handshakes and does several things with it. So first, what do we get? We get a probe request. That's where the client said, and you can see all those frames that we just captured. You could see where it said, hey, Joel's network, are you there? And Joel's network says, yes, I'm here. Then we see the association happen. So here's where the client asked to associate to the network, and here's where the access point basically gave permission to associate. Then we have our security handshake. This is where we set up our security handshake 1, 2, and 3. So handshake, ACK, RTS, CTS, handshake, ACK. And then we have our neighbor report, and then you see we just start having normal data flow after that. And we captured all of it. It's all here. It's all in the packet capture. Now, this is a good time to talk about this. There's two ways that you can get PCAPs out of Tonic. The first way is you can just go hit File and hit Save PCAP. We keep a rolling 10-minute buffer at all times, and we will just save every single thing that we captured and shove it into a PCAP file, and you can open it up in IPA or Wireshark or OmniPeak or whatever your favorite in-depth packet packet analysis tool is. The other thing that you can do is you can come and find these events, and you can hit this little floppy disk icon right here, and you can hit send to Wireshark or send to IPA or just save it as a PCAP. And what we do is we take that little conversation between the access point and the client, we wrap it up into a PCAP file, and we send it over to Wireshark for deeper analysis. So here is those 50 packets all in Wireshark, so that you can do the deeper analysis on it. You can go in here and find where the client says, yo dog, I want to associate to your network. I promise it's in here somewhere, right? Right? But additionally, that packet capture file is automatically saved in our temporary PCAP folder. So here it is, right here. Here's our association. You can see the dates, the timestamp and the date. It's here on the 15th. It's only a tiny little 6 kilobyte file, but there it is. And you can save any of these events out that you want at any time. So those are the two ways that you can very quickly and very easily get packets out. So one last thing that I'll show you is over in the client's view. I really love this view because I can say, well, let's find any client that's associated to a network with Coda in the name. And so here it is. Here's all of my neighbors' client devices, hanging out. Here's a Samsung. We can click on that and drill straight down into that client device and see what that client has been up to. If we scroll down and look here, you can see that our signal strength is hanging around, I'm going to say it's around -78 dBm or so. So it's pretty far away, but we can see that nice. I love this, love it when the multi-layer pie chart shows a very clear split of management frames, data frames, and control frames. So you can see exactly what is actual data and what is management overhead. It's super, super powerful for understanding where your airtime is going in a live environment. So I think with that, I think we pretty much burned through all of our demo time. So just to kind of wrap things up, and before we kick it back over to Julie to answer any questions, Tonic is available as a part of our new MetaGeek Enterprise suite. So this is a suite of all three products. Hey Casey, check it out. Look at where I failed to align the two boxes there. That's pretty great. We'll fix that next time around. But MetaGeek Enterprise Suite includes channelizers, so you could do in-depth spectrum analysis and recording. Tonic to me is the new front runner. It's the first thing that you run because it's got quick spectrum in it. It's got real-time packets. It's the great packet capture tool. And then of course, IPA remains as the in-depth, if you really want to dive deep into the packets, we have lots and lots of plans for IPA, and we're really excited to make MetaGeek Tonic and MetaGeek IPA work even more closely together. And we're also really interested in some integration between Tonic and Channelizer. So these really only make sense when you have all three of them together, which is why we're introducing MetaGeek Enterprise Suite today. MSRP for MetaGeek Enterprise Suite is $500 per user per year. We kept it very inexpensive so you can easily outfit an entire team with these tools and get everybody set up with everything that they need to do all kinds of different Wi-Fi troubleshooting and performance analysis. So $500 MSRP. Now, the roadmap, there's a lot coming up. We want to put copy to clipboard buttons everywhere to make reporting really, really easy. I want to get a waterfall graph into the time series graphs. I want to give you QBSS utilization from the access points. So you get a third look at how busy the channel is, and so much more. We've got all kinds of things in the work. We're going to be developing on this product rapidly. And of course, when you get MetaGeek Suite for a year, of course, you get to enjoy all of the updates that we release throughout that year. And so keep an eye out for all the new product announcements and developments that are coming. One last thing before I kick it back over to Julie to take questions is you may have noticed that I was using a unique coloring profile in Wireshark. So these colors, maybe we'll go find an event that's a little bit prettier. I like the ones where you get some blue and some data. Oh, we're too far away to see data frames on this one. That's okay. But if you want this color profile, then just head over to this link here, metageek.link/Wireshark-profile. Go grab that. I'll leave it on the screen here for a second and go grab that free profile. So yeah, with that, Julie, I think Casey and I are ready for any questions that were asked during the presentation.
Thank you very much, Joel and Casey. So appreciate your presentation and this incredible new information that you're sharing with us today. And yes, we've got questions. So let me get started with the first. Let's see, regarding multi-channel scanning, does it cover any and all frequencies or specific per each new device?
That's a great question. It depends a little bit. It all depends on the context of what you're looking at. So to be sure that we're clear, we're covering the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz bands. We're not 6 gigahertz yet. we'll get there, but 6 gigahertz is so brand new. Even packet capture hardware is hard to get for 6 gigahertz right now, but we're looking into that. But as far as what specifically we are scanning in the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands, it depends on two main things. First off, how many packet capture adapters do you have plugged in? I have 3 adapters plugged in right now. You can do it with just 1. 2 is the sweet spot. 3 is for power users, or if you just want that extra bit of information. So keep in mind that when we're looking at all the networks, we're sweeping everything in the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands. When we drill down to a specific network, that's when we start to place the adapters on specific channels to make sure that we catch as much about what's going on with our network or our access point or our client device. So see here, when I tune down to this specific client device, note that adapter, the green adapter or adapter number 1 is stuck on channel 6 now, because that's where the client is. And so we're going to stay focused on that channel. So the answer to your question is, it depends. It depends on how many adapters and what you are looking at, but that's part of the magic, is we manage it for you.
Thank you so much, Joel. Next question here for you. Regarding Spectrum Analyzer, will one be able to generate a report from it?
That's a really good question. So right now, our real reporting capabilities are in Channelizer. We don't have strong reporting in Tonic yet, but it's something that I want. Notice here these little copy to clipboard buttons. So what these do is they take a little snapshot of whatever is in this pane, and then if you open up a super professional graphic editor like MS Paint, then we'll actually bring that graphic out, and you can paste it into a Word document or a Google Doc or whatever you want. But one thing that you may notice is that in Tonic 1.0, we're pretty thin on where these buttons are. You saw that on my roadmap. We want to put copy to clipboard buttons everywhere in the application. That said, remember that Tonic is probably going to stay mostly Spectrum light. I'm going to give you some more Spectrum controls and a waterfall, and a few things are coming. We're going to get that done soon. But it's not as Spectrum heavy as Channelizer is. So for serious reporting on Spectrum analysis issues, we still recommend sticking with Channelizer and the report builder, which of course is included with MetaGeek Enterprise Suite.
Thank you so much, Joel. Next question here for you, and you may have touched on this. Is Tonic a paid subscription? Can you talk about that for us?
Yeah. So it is the MetaGeek Enterprise Suite, which is where you get Tonic, is a subscription, but we've kept it super affordable at $500 per user per year. And if you don't want something that hits your credit card all the time, you don't want something hitting your credit card once a year, no problem. We've actually come up with activation tokens. They look like license keys in every way, shape, and form. You just, let's say that you buy a MetaGeek Enterprise Suite from Microcom. Microcom's going to hand you a token. You take that to My MetaGeek, you punch in the token, and ta-da, you're now activated for a year. And so in that way, it feels very much like a perpetually licensed product. It just works for a year, and then grab another year when you want it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joel. Next question here for you guys. Is the packet flow a simple color code scheme to note where everything came from?
That's a wonderful question. So we are coloring the packets based on the type of packet. It's all about frame type. So all my events rolled off my 10-minute time span. So I'm just going to create some new events really quick here. So I'll just turn Wi-Fi off and back on, and there we go. There's our association, and everything all happens again. So it's all about the type of frame. So notice that data frames are always a shade of blue. Like here's a null data frame, here's a QoS data frame, and then there's these ones called inferred data frames where we think there's a frame there, but we didn't actually capture it. But you can see they all go under the blue bucket. Control frames, which control the RF medium and make sure that other types of frames get delivered, they're always some shade of orange. So block acknowledgements, RTS, CTS. So see these request to send and clear to sends, same color here, here, and here. So very consistent coloring. And then finally, we have our management frames, which help stations join and leave wireless networks. Those are always purple, so dissociation, authentication request. And then the one outlier is our EAP over LAN frames. We always, we do silver on those because the way that I see it, they're like keys, and keys are silver, right? Yeah, so that's picked silver for those. Very scientific, as you can see, but also consistent with the overall color scheme in IPA as well.
Thank you so much. Next question here, and it looks like it's pertaining to the Tonic subscription. It says, are all the features of Tonic unlocked upon using, or is there a free version or a premium version?
No premium version and no free version. It's just $500, gets you everything in Channelizer, everything in Tonic, everything in IPA. You don't have to install them all if you don't want, but you just get everything. And as far as Tonic goes, there's no premium unlocked thing. We've done that in the past. We've kind of done that with like Insider 5, and I don't know, it just felt confusing, and we just wanted to make something great and just make it affordable. The one thing that you can do for free is if you have a supported packet capture adapter, which you can just go up here to help and go supported packet capture adapters, or look on our knowledge base. We've got a knowledge base article for that. If you have a 1 or 2 or 3 supported packet capture adapters already, they're just standard off-the-shelf Wi-Fi adapters. You can go download Tonic today, and it'll run for 14 days for free. So you can just go try it out and get 2 weeks for free.
Thank you very much. That's great. Last question for you. Will Tonic only work with MetaGeek devices?
Good question. So as far as packet capture adapters go, we use the packet capture adapters are just standard off-the-shelf adapters, and there's about 16. Right as I hold up something for the camera, my camera shuts off for a second. I love the timing there. It's great, isn't it, Casey? Like, for example, this is a ComFast CF912 AC. I don't think you can get these on Amazon anymore because they're just kind of old, but there's like 16 or 17 adapters that we support. You can go to our supported adapters list and just buy an adapter on Amazon if you want. We also have them available for purchase with MetaGeek Suite if you want. So you can go either way on that. I happen to have a bunch of adapters that were compatible when we started doing this. So yeah, it's about 16, 17 adapters. Now, on the spectrum analysis side of things, we do require the Y-SPI DBX if you want spectrum. We don't support anyone else's spectrum analyzers. To be honest, we probably won't. It's just, I don't know, trying to figure out how to take their data and get it to where we want it when we already do a spec in. I just don't see us doing that. But yeah, the packet capture adapters are just basically whatever we support. Knock yourself out, go for it.
Thank you, Joel, so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And also thank you to everyone for attending. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep, or you can email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel to view it again. Joel, Casey, thank you again for being with us today and sharing all of this valuable information with us. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, everybody have a fantastic day.